Welcome to another episode of Jay Leno's Garage. This is a very special episode because we have one of my automotive heroes here, Mr. Lee Iacocca, and Bob Freya, the author of Mustang Genesis. We have two very special cars here today. We have the Mustang 1 over there, which is the prototype. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And we have right here the very first production Mustang, serial number 0001. Yeah. And how many Mustangs did they make exactly that first year? Over 1 million, correct?
1 million.
Over 1 million. Nowadays, you sell 40,000 or something and you're a hero. But a million cars in 1 year. And Bob, you're the Mustang historian, correct? This is the book here, The Creation of the Pony Car. In fact, Mr. Iacocca did the foreword for this book as well.
He did.
So I know you started in Washington, right, as a Ford salesman, district?
Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia was, okay. Right. And I remember your big marketing thing was $56.56, is that what it was?
Yeah, close enough.
And what was that exactly?
Your monthly payment was $56 for a 56 Ford.
Yeah, right.
$56 for 56 Ford.
That's right.
And that was a huge deal, wasn't it?
It was.
Big time.
Yeah. And I remember you were promoting at the time the padded dashboard.
Yeah, safety items.
The safety items, and you used to drop an egg.
Yeah, I remember that.
On the dashboard, and it didn't break. Well, I was so impressed. I was a little kid. I was so impressed by that because he was the car salesman's car salesman. He was the best there was.
Thank you.
Oh, really true, really true. And being Italian, my dad would always say, "Why can't you be like that? Why do they show this TV show, The Untouchables, the Italian gangsters? Why do they show guys like Mr. Iacocca?" And he would hold up the Time magazine that you were on the cover of. Right. These are the kind of Italians we need to have, not those gangsters. He would always get all mad. So my dad, I wish my dad had met Mr. Iacocca, but that never happened. Yeah. So tell me about the beginning of the Mustang, how it came to be, because Ford was not into performance cars in the early 60s. Really. Was the Mustang a hard sell when you went to your bosses? Hey, we got this idea.
Yeah, it was.
It was?
A hard sell.
Yeah. Why? What didn't they get?
Well, we had to just finish off with the Edsel.
Right.
It was a disaster.
Right.
So they said that Henry Ford said that we don't need another flop.
Right. And at that time, the biggest selling car was the Falcon, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Falcon was huge. That was out.
Falcon was good volume, but
yeah,
sort of pretty lousy car.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, pretty boring.
Right.
Boring car. So how many sketches for the Mustang did you go through before you said, "Oh, that's the one"?
They actually had a competition.
Yeah.
Just show you on the cover of the book, this sketch right here.
Oh, okay.
Is the one that actually won out.
Is that the one?
That was drawn by Gail Halderman, and they stayed pretty true to that sign, as you can see in this car here. Yeah. This car was with Mr. Iacocca and Don Fry, who was the program manager. And the license plate says 417 by 417, and what that meant was they wanted to sell 417,000 Mustangs by April 17th of 1965 because that would beat the Falcon record.
Oh, I see. And they sold a lot more than that, didn't they? Yeah. Sold 1 million.
First 22 months.
Because I was one of those kids. I was 13 years old on April 17th when the Mustang came out. And back in those days, the dealerships would cover the windows with curtains and things, and you get a hot dog and a donut and a glass of lemonade if you came down to see the new cars. And I made my dad take me down. We had to stand in line. Then the dealership opened. Everybody rushed in. You know, nowadays, nobody does that anymore. But I think the real genius of Mr. Iacocca was all the options on the car. You could get it for $2,300 and change with a 6-cylinder, or you could get it with a V8 and every conceivable option and almost close to $4,000. And that was the real key, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Because you couldn't tell the difference between the plain Jane Mustang and the one that had the big engine in it. I mean, they were in the same, you know.
The real profit margin for them was in the accessories and options.
Right.
Each car that went out that first year and a half, 2 years, on the average, they had $1,000 worth of accessories on it. That's where their profits were.
That's where the money was.
Yeah.
With the options.
You had this wonderful success going, and all of a sudden Carroll Shelby comes along and wants to race these things. What made you decide to do that?
Because it was more fun.
Just more fun? Yeah.
Mr. Iacocca is quoted as saying that Carroll Shelby came into his office to ask him for some help to get the first Cobra started. And he said that Shelby was such a prolific talker, he couldn't get him out of the office until he said yes, so he finally gave him some
there you go.
engines.
Well, you had two good talkers at the time, yeah. But the salesman, two salesmen battling each other.
Right, right.
What made you such a car nut?
Well, I always liked anything that rolls and explodes and makes noise. I mean, I think in the same way the kids today are electronic geeks with iPhones and video games, in my day, it was the automobile. That was your iPhone. That's how you got away. You know, kids can get away now and communicate with their friends. But when I was a kid, the only way you got away was either on your bike, which is too much work, or having your first car. So everybody was pretty much car crazy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And the key to this, it was affordable. It was sporty and European looking. And it was close to, not that I could ever afford it, but at least it was closer to what I could afford. I remember when I was a kid, maybe in the early 70s, they said the Mustang will never be collectible because they made too many of them, which turns out to be why they're collectible. Are you surprised by all the hoopla? Did you think it would last 50 years back in 1963?
No, crazy.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon. It really is.
Well, you've done a heck of a job, sir. It's pretty amazing. And I also want to thank you because you probably saved more American jobs than anybody. I know when you went to Chrysler, that was floundering, and you saved, what, 600, 700,000 jobs there?
Yeah, probably.
So, probably, something like that. He's very modest. And this, of course, is Mustang #1, which is, wow. Well, it's the first production car, but it still has some prototype stuff on it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This is one of approximately 180 cars that was built prior to the start of actual production. So its correct term is a pre-production car.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's serial number 0001.
That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It looks like every Mustang I've seen from that era. Few little things. Let's start with stuff.
The turn signal lever on this car is actually from a Fairlane, and the reason is because these cars were built on the same assembly line with the Fairlanes, and that's termed a floor sweeping part, which means that they didn't have enough parts to start the assembly of these cars, so they grabbed whatever they could.
Okay.
That's how it got there.
Okay. And these were basically tarted up Falcons. I mean, the underpinning was basically Falcon at the time.
That's true, yes.
Especially the 6-cylinder model.
Yeah. These first cars came out with a 260 cubic inch V8 that was 195 horsepower. My #2 car has 170 cubic inch, 101 horsepower. But they also had available, and Henry Ford II got a car with the high performance 289, which was 271 horsepower.
Right. And remember, it had the hat over the top of this, and it said Hypo on it.
That's right.
And these became illegal after a couple of years, the knockoff.
Thanks to Ralph Nader.
Yeah. But I always liked those hubcaps. I always thought those were pretty sexy.
Right.
Let's open the hood. Let's see what it looks like under the hood.
Okay. You got to remember, this car has never been restored, and it's 50 years old, so it's not in pristine condition. But you'll notice too, while you're on that side, it doesn't have an outside rearview mirror.
Oh, right.
They didn't come on these early cars.
Right. Everything was optional back in those days. The outside mirror, even radio and heater with Falcon was optional. You paid extra if you wanted an ashtray, and if you didn't get the clock, you got that big blank thing with no hands on it that said, "I did not buy clock."
There's an interesting story, Jay, that goes along with this horse. Once they decided to use the horse, they had to come up with a 3D image of it. There was a man who was in the Hungarian equestrian team before World War II. His name was Charles Keresztes, and he was drafted into the Army and fought in the World War II portion of the Hungarian Army. And he was with the infantry, and they were engaged in a big battle, and most of the people got killed. He ended up being 19-year-old leader, and he's credited with leading the last infantry charge on a horse in the history of the world.
Wow.
The reason that's important is because he came to Ford later as an accomplished sculptor, and he's the one that brought this horse to 3D life.
Wow. Now here's a car I haven't seen in over 50 years. I saw this car when I was 13 at the auto show. I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. It was called the Mustang 1. It had another name, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later, but it was the Mustang 1. It is now in the Henry Ford. That's the fantastic museum. Let's meet Matt Anderson. Matt, you're the curator?
Curator of Transportation, yes.
And Steve Ling, you're our Ford performance guy? Very cool. Tell us about this car.
Yeah, this is a 1962 Mustang 1. We call it that now because there are subsequent Mustangs, and it's kind of a misconception that this is maybe the father of the production Mustang. It's not. It's probably more accurate to say they're sort of cousins. They're two entirely separate projects that, in fact, were taking place more or less at the same time. The Mustang 1 is important because it's really the big marker that Ford's returning to this idea of total performance. And in some ways, this is the car that's the father of the GT40s, which would dominate Le Mans in the later years.
Is it safe to say this is the first mid-engine American car from a major manufacturer?
I think that's fair. It's certainly the first true sports car for Ford. You're right. It's got the mid-engine. It's a V4 taken out of the Cardinal in Germany, and small engine, about 91 cubic inches, but will do about 109 horsepower. And Dan Gurney took this car out for the first time at Watkins Glen in '62, and he had it up over 100, maybe 120 miles, no problem at all.
Yeah, he came within a fraction of the Formula One record for the Formula One cars with this car at the time.
Absolutely. I mean, the car was just there for demonstration, but it's intriguing to think what might have happened if they'd actually raced it. It would have been respectable.
Now, when we say this is the first Ford sports car, the Thunderbird was not a sports car at the time. That was a personal luxury car.
Absolutely.
And it outsold the Corvette 3-4 to 1
Right.
because it was more of a luxury car. Yeah, when I saw this car, it had a code name Allegro, which was an internal name used among Ford people, so other people outside the company wouldn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Very hush-hush stuff.
It has the rotating front license plate, a la James Bond. You can make it.
Exactly.
And the police love that, you know, when you make the plate disappear. It's very popular. And of course, hideaway headlights. Yep. You know what's really cool? When you open this up, this is the engine out of the Taunus, right?
That's correct.
This sort of looks like the GT40, certainly the Pantera, the Mangusta.
Exactly.
Certainly predates that, and that's I remember this had 87 horsepower normally, and then 109 when you souped it up.
That's right.
What did this weigh? Anybody know?
About 1,500 pounds, a little over that.
Wow,
So
50.
that was a lot of power for that weight.
Yeah.
So this thing,
And this car was built, I'm told, in the same facility where Shelby later went on to build, of course, the
In Venice.
Built by Trautman and Barnes, yep, right here.
You guys found this thing in derelict condition. Was it owned by a private party, or?
It was actually squirreled away by some of the design guys at Ford. You know, most of these cars, they go off to the crusher after they're used, and that's it. But they had such an attachment to this thing. They hid it around for 10, 12 years, and then it made its way to the Henry Ford Museum at Henry Ford, where we've taken care of it ever since.
Those exhausts look like they later went to the GT Mustang. Wouldn't you say 65?
oh yeah, it's absolutely inspired it, and,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about the car is, you know, they took pieces of it and then reused it,
Yeah.
and you can see elements there, and you can see elements in the GT.
You got the windshield here, and also this car has what? The seats don't move, but the
No.
pedals do.
Yeah, that's right. The bench seat here is integral to the body, so to adjust it to your height, and Dan Gurney's a tall guy, so he certainly had to. You can slide the pedals back or forward, but leads to some other idiosyncrasies. Like you've got your turn indicator. There is actually a knob on the console in the center, and your horn is a paddle there too. So.
Yeah, let's put the hood down. You know, when I was a kid, the mean guy at the auto show wouldn't let me sit in it. Can I sit in it now?
I think we could arrange that.
Cool. Here it is, 50 years later.
Yep.
Is this it
Pull
here?
right?
Yeah, it
Oh, there we
shoots
go.
right up there. You go.
I waited 50 years to sit in this car. And now I don't fit.
It reminds you how small the cars were back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So were the people. Actually, it's not bad. And this is the turn indicator here, left, right,
correct.
horn right there. And what is this?
That's choke back there.
Oh, choke, of course. And a full
But it-
4-speed.
Right. Nice placement of the shifter, though.
Huh?
Gurney like that.
It's not, actually, this is pretty, I could
see you in that.
do this. Speedometer goes to 100. Ooh. It really is a lot like the Fiat X19. It's not that far away. You know, we always think the Europeans invented everything, but this is 1962.
That's
correct?
it. I mean,
Yep.
this was big technology then.
Yeah.
And the thing that I liked, you think about what was going on at the time. You had the baby boomers starting to come of driving age,
Right.
like you were talking about. You had people starting to get their second and third cars. So Ford was looking at the lineup saying, you know, well, you got Falcon, you got Galaxy, need a little more spice here.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was really the genesis behind why we needed a Mustang, and
Yeah.
then could take this and do something more extravagant in, say, the Ford GT.
And where can people see this car today?
This car and Mustang production serial number 1 are both at the Henry Ford Museum at the Henry Ford in Dearborn, Michigan.
Well, there you go. It is probably, I think it's the greatest museum in the world. It's not just cars, there's all sorts of Thomas Edison's laboratory is there.
Right.
There's antique sewing machine. I mean, it's just wonderful, wonderful American history seen through the eyes of, or the headlights, I guess, of the automobile. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for doing this.
Sure,
Steve,
our
thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. Matt, thank you very much. And Bob, and of course, a special thanks to Mr. Lee Iacocca. We really appreciate him coming by. He's one of my all-time heroes, so it was great to have him here at the garage. All righty, you saw the very first Mustang produced. You saw the Mustang concept car, the Allegro, and this is the 2015 Mustang GT. Now, this car is a prototype. They have not built any yet. This was brought to the garage under great secrecy. It's really kind of exciting because these have not even started rolling off the production line yet. So everything on this car is a prototype. This is a hand-built car, so we can't take it for a drive. There's a lot of secret stuff here. I'm going to see if I can get something out of the chief engineer. Dave Pericak. Dave, come on in here. Chief engineer, Mustang, what's the exact title?
Mustang Chief Engineer.
Mustang chief engineer, okay. Well, this is your baby, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's a good-looking car. I think it's better looking than the earlier cars, a little more aerodynamic. So tell us what we have here.
So everything you see here is all new. Nothing is carryover from the outgoing model. And what you can hopefully see initially is that we spent a lot of time with the proportions of the vehicle. So she's a lot lower than the outgoing car, a lot wider. And it has you see the fastback, the silhouette that we have going on. We brought the fastback back. So everything about this car is a bit sleeker and more modern than the outgoing vehicle.
Now, something that's a big change is all independent suspension is now standard every model Mustang, correct?
Yeah, everybody's been wondering about that. Independent rear suspension is standard. It's a world-class integral link suspension.
Right.
It's doing a fantastic job for us, really, really allowing us to tie the car down but improve our primary and secondary ride.
Now, let me ask you, is that because Camaros come out with independent suspension? It seemed like, I mean, I always feel when American car companies compete with each other, they all get better.
Yes, oh, that's true. I believe that as well.
Because I remember earlier, a number of years ago, they offered independent suspension in the Mustang, and not that many people bought it.
Right.
So I figured, oh, well, that's it, you know.
Well, I think it's time, Jay. I mean, you know, we've been on a trajectory with Mustang, as you know, Boss 302, one of our last ones, to really show where we can take the car.
Right.
Well, we're going to go even further, and the independent rear suspension is going to allow us to do that. This is, like I said, a world-class specifically designed for the Mustang.
Okay.
So it had to be right, and it's really allowing us to perform well. But, you know, when we put that in there, we found very quickly that the front suspension wasn't going to keep up.
Right.
So all new front suspension, double ball joint front suspension, full subframe up front, everything on this car has been redone.
So are there any parts on this car carried over from 14 or 13
No.
or nothing?
No, sir. This is all new.
Even the 5's a little bigger, huh?
That's a brand new badge.
It's a brand new badge, yeah.
The track width, Jay, the only thing that is common with the carryover car is the actual wheelbase at
Right.
107 inches. But the front track width was widened about 15 millimeters, and in the rear we widened the track width by 70 millimeters.
How many engine options available? What would be if I said I want the stripper model, what motor comes in it?
That would be a V6, naturally
Okay.
aspirated 3.7 liter V6 that we have in today's car.
Right.
300 plus horsepower.
Right.
Great option as an entry option.
Right.
Now we're adding to Mustang for the first time an EcoBoost.
Okay.
And new to the EcoBoost family as well. It's a 2.3 liter EcoBoost, specifically designed for the Mustang. It's got a bunch of internal upgrades like a steel crankshaft. It's got twin scroll turbo. It's got a high flow fuel injection system, putting out more horsepower and torque than a V6.
Explain to people what EcoBoost means exactly.
Well, EcoBoost is a turbocharged engine, right? And we're allowed, with the technology that EcoBoost gives us, we're allowed basically to get the power of a V6, for instance, out of a 4-cylinder engine.
Right.
But you get the fuel efficiency of a 4-cylinder. So we're going to have this 2.3 liter EcoBoost, which is a 4-cylinder, and it is going to put out more power and torque than a V6.
Okay. Tell us about the 5-liter engine.
So 5 liter is going to undergo some upgrades to improve the horsepower and the torque of the 5 liter as well. So today's 5 liter is at 420 horse. This one's going to go beyond that.
Go beyond that, but you can't tell us
I
how
can't
much.
tell you. That's one of those secrets I can't tell you. But we're working on it, Jay. We haven't finalized the actual horsepower yet, but it is going to be a significant improvement. We're also going to improve fuel on a V8 as well.
And of course, this vehicle won't even start being built until well after the first of the year, correct?
Yeah, these won't be in showrooms until the fall of next year.
Okay, fall of next year. Because I always thought, you know, it's the 50-year anniversary of the Mustang, and I thought, ooh, maybe April 17th, when the first Mustang came out, maybe they would sneak this one out as a 2014 and a half, just like they did the 64 and a half. No plans for that?
There's a lot of plans around the 50th anniversary.
No, looks like there's something going on here.
We're going to celebrate the 50th in the right way,
Right,
I'll tell you
right.
that.
Let's take a look at the back of the vehicle.
So Jay, as you can see, as I mentioned before, we've got the fastback design now back
Right.
in. You see how it carves into the deck lid. And then most noticeable in the rear end, the 3-chambered signature lamps that Mustangs have had throughout the years.
Yeah, yeah, that looks great.
Done in a very modern way.
Yeah, that's the prettiest car I've seen in a long time. It looks very European. Looks in a complimentary way, like an Aston Martin almost. And it's amazing to me that Mustang now has the features that would have been on the most exclusive, Italian European cars not that long ago. You have 4-cam engine, independent suspension, the whole deal. 6-speed?
6-speed transmissions,
Okay.
yep, both manual and automatic.
Okay.
Standard paddle shifters.
Okay.
Rev matching in the downshifts. And really, when you go into sport mode, allowing you much quicker and aggressive shifting. So I think people will be very happy with that.
And Mustang will always have a manual shift, won't they?
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
I get very disappointed that Porsche and Ferrari and all these people are no longer making manual
unfortunate.
shift cars. But it's if you like to shift, it's a good way to go.
Yeah.
What do we have here?
That's the reverse lamp, Jay.
Oh, it is. Oh, I thought it was a screen. Oh, it is a reverse lamp. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
reverse lamp.
It looked like I thought maybe it was a differential cooler or something, but no.
No, reverse lamp. We didn't want to have break up the beautiful tail lamp you see here with
Right.
the white light. So that went down there and created a design element around it.
And where is your rear backup light? Is it? Oh, it's right. Is it in here? Is it your brake light?
No, the brake light, sir, is right at the top.
Oh,
of
it
the
is.
glass.
Oh, it is at the top. Oh boy, they integrate that nicely, don't they? Yeah. So this car is going to be crushed. Is that right?
Unfortunately, this particular car will get crushed.
You know something? I always read about guys in the 50s and 60s that snuck the car off the lot and saved it, and so it's a collector car. You have to be that guy. Dave, I want you to, when Etzel Ford isn't looking,
Okay.
you sneak in, you,
All right.
you put this thing off to the side, you save it for 30 or 40 years so some collector can buy it. Don't let them crush this car.
I won't. And then when they get rid of me, then I can work at your garage.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is amazing to me, though. There are so many prototypes. I have a Chrysler Turbine car. There's a guy named Joe Bortz who used to still does search the junkyards, finding the concept cars.
Sure.
And, people love them so much.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the Allegro here, the very first Mustang, and that could have been crushed for whatever reason it wasn't. So it's funny to me that these prototype cars aren't saved just for their historical value. Let's take a look at the interior of the car. Wouldn't the noises but
It's welcoming you in
I
there.
remember when you used to buy like a Lincoln, you get that melodious sound. Then when you got like the Falcon, you get a horrible noise. This kind of sounds like, ooh, menswear, 3rd floor. It's got a nice look to it. Nice sound to it. Nice looking steering wheel.
Thank you. We changed the diameter of the steering wheel, Jay. We shrunk it down a little bit from the outgoing model.
Yeah.
You can see all the new controls that you have. Now on the interior, like I said, everything is new.
Right.
What you can see is you still have that double brow that you would see in a Mustang up on the instrument panel.
Right.
And then you have the barrel gauges that everyone would expect to see in a Mustang.
Yeah, I love the integrated gauges up there in the dash. We used to call that the rally pack in the old Mustang.
Yeah, so this is a performance pack. So in the middle, right between the air vents, you see that you have oil pressure, and then you also have a vacuum or boost gauge, depending on what engine we have.
And I notice, so many manufacturers going to these big, giant screens, which I find very distracting. That's a nice size. That's really all you need.
Now, some of the things you'll notice, Jay, there's a push-to-start button in there.
Okay.
Every Mustang comes standard now with what we call intelligent access.
Yeah.
And push-to-start. So no more. You don't need a key anymore. Keep it in your pocket.
Okay, right.
You can unlock your door, lock your door. You'll start your driving experience by pushing that button.
Well, it's a very comfortable Recaro seat. Sometimes they put these seats in these cars, and it's like, just too hard, too tight. This is very nice. And boy, all kinds of legroom.
Yeah. So even though we spent a lot of time, lowering the car and putting the fastback design in, we spent as much time, if not more, to actually improve the interior. So we actually have more room in the interior than you have in the outbound.
Thank you for not having a stupid 30-pound electric motor to move my rear end 6 inches. I never understand that. To me, most people like me, you buy a car, you set the seat, and it stays in that position for the next 15 years, however long you have the vehicle.
Yep.
I never quite understand why you need electric back and forward and up and down. Where do it manually, and it saves, it's less intricacy, and weighs less.
Yep.
Well, it's a nice looking interior, very nice. I like the brushed aluminum kind of deal here.
Yep. Most of the Mustangs will have a real aluminum all the way across the IP, as you see there.
Proper. Thanks for not having an electric handbrake. I like a proper cable brake.
We weren't going to do that to the Mustang.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Boy, it looks good. Let's start her up. Hydraulic steering or electric?
Electric.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's electric power steering. Okay.
Sounds like a V8 should sound, Jay.
Sounds good. Well, pretty cool. Unfortunately, old fuddy-duddy Dave won't let us drive it because it's a prototype vehicle. It's not registered in the road, doesn't have all the, well, you know, all the things that have to be certified. But we thought you'd enjoy seeing a peek at what the new Mustang will look like. This thing is still quite a bit a ways away from production.
Yeah.
And this was going to be crushed, but Dave's going to save it. He's going to sacrifice his career and everything he's worked for to save this car. That's how much you believe in it, correct?
Absolutely.
Dave, thank you very much for
Thank
bringing
you,
it
Jay.
by.
Thank you.
And in 25 years, I'm going to come by and pay you big money for this thing.
All right, very good.